My co-host only drinks water from a clean tap and from the kitchen. Welcome back to the Lil P in this week's NRL Banter Box.
Hey, Professor. Craig Bellamy's 600th game, glow-in-the-dark Cowboys jerseys and titanium halfbacks. My, oh my, what a round we've had. But for now, back to you.
Thanks, Little P. So we are here. We are in the final round, Little P, and there are many variables, many balls in the air. Lots to play for and nothing to play for, depending on which side you're supporting. Lots of final matches, machinations as we head into September. In the finals match, the air is getting warmer, the birds are chirping, and we're ready for some finals action. But there is lots to play for this week, Little P, so we'll spend a little bit more time in unpacking and reviewing and analysing what round 27 means for various teams. But before we get there, who is celebrating their birthday this week?
So, Professor, this week, September 3rd to the 9th, we have several NRL players celebrating their birthday, including Sunia Tarova tomorrow. So we are recording this episode of Banter Box on the Wednesday. Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow on the 5th, Aaron Clark and Luke Garner on the 6th, and lastly Spencer Lenu, the troublemaker, and AJ Brimson on the 8th. Big happy birthday, fellas.
Oh, lots to celebrate there. So, Little P, who is this week's Who Am I for round 27?
Now, Professor, this week's Who Am I is all about speed. So listen up, everyone, get those hands on the buzzer, and let's see how quickly you can guess this one. I was born in Brisbane in 1959 and grew up loving rugby league. They called me King, and I'm one of the most famous players ever to wear a Maroons jersey. I captained Queensland in the very first State of Origin matches and became known as the ultimate Origin leader. I also played for the Brisbane Broncos and represented Australia, proudly wearing the green and gold. In 2000, I was named Rugby League Team of the Century, and today a statue of me stands outside Suncorp Stadium. Off the field, I've worked as a television sports presenter and continue to be a much-loved figure in the game. Well, who am I, guys? We'll be back with the answer to this one at the end of the episode.
Oh, that's a really, really good one. Thanks, Little P. So, let's have a chat about round 26. There were some upsets, and there were some things that changed the course of the direction of finals-bound teams, and some who've fallen out of contest. But what were some of the highlights? What did you like in what you saw in the round 26 action?
Well, Professor, earlier in the episode when I said titanium halfbacks, that was, I think you might know who I'm talking about. That was Ethan Strange of the Raiders on the weekend. He took a nasty hit from one of the Tigers' defensemen, and he got up and smiled, and other halfbacks would be rolling around on the ground waiting for the trainer, but Ethan Strange, he just jumped right up. He smiled and he just looked for a try opportunity, and that shows what a great player he is, and that's what we really need in the game. So that's why the Raiders are doing so well. Just all of these players have traits like this.
Yes.
I think the Titans were quite impressive overall against the Dolphins. It was too close a game for them, and the Dolphins really should have gotten some more points stacked up on them. But the Titans, they really came back in the end, 30-36. So well done to the Titans. And from the opposition of them, Nikorima, I think a great try assist. And he's great with the ball, and he scored a try himself. So, yeah, Nikorima, the Titans, and Ethan Strange were my highlights.
Oh, thanks, Lil P. So my highlights and lowlights is actually in the same match. So we had a very important match for the Storm and the Roosters. And the Roosters travel down to Melbourne in a milestone game. Now, Melbourne Storm are notorious victors in their milestone games. They really get up for those performances. They were winning 10-0 at halftime. It was Storm in control and in command of that contest. But in the second half, they conceded 40 consecutive points. So a very dominant, exciting display by the Roosters. And on the other side of that, a low light for Craig Bellamy, who said that he was embarrassed by that performance. And in the Melbourne Storm's total history, Lil P, this was the worst ever second half in the number of points that they conceded by any Melbourne Storm team.
Wow.
So what does that mean? in this week's contest. I don't think we're going to see a repeat of that as they face the Broncos on Thursday night in a very, very interesting contest. Anything else from the highlights reel from you, Little Pete? If not, let's talk about what we didn't like.
Well, Professor, I didn't really have any more highlights, but I just wanted to mention, if nobody noticed, when the Cowboys were running out onto Suncorp Stadium against the Broncos, their jerseys were actually glow in the dark. So that was a really cool thing to spot. So yeah, that was just another highlight for me.
All right, Little P. Well, my low light is your Brisbane Broncos and their fullback, Reece Walsh, posting a social post on a video of himself drinking toilet water. What is going on there, Little P? I think it was a failed attempt at humour, just bizarre behaviour, and an unnecessary distraction for Reece Walsh, such a critical player for Brisbane and their chances for the 2025 season. Let's see what he can do there on Thursday night playing against the Storm.
Yeah, well, Professor, he was on my lowlights as well. I've noticed that he's not actually reading the game as well as he usually does. His timing is just a little bit off. Like there was a Cowboys try and he was behind the Broncos line of defense, and
Yes.
he could have ran around to stop the try, but he's sort of just lingering in that area, and I think his timing's just a bit off, and it's usually really good. So yeah, Reece Walsh, I don't think he's in the place he needs to be right now, considering the Broncos spot on the ladder. The Dolphins, I was a bit disappointed in them in the Titans game. They had way more to play for than Gold Coast, but they won nevertheless. But their defense was really poor, and it was too close a game for them. They really should have smashed the Titans. But just on that topic, I did not know about that toilet water Reece Walsh thing. But there is another news update from the Broncos. Shibasaki is ruled out for Thursday's game against Storm. He was out drinking on Sunday, and he came to Monday's training session all drunk. So Mariner will be replacing him. So I think maybe there was a drinking party or something for the Broncos, because I don't think Reece Walsh would do that in his free time. So yeah, those are my lowlights.
Okay. All right. Well, let's jump into round 27, Little P. Now, it's beginning in Brisbane. We have the Broncos, who've now jumped into fourth place. Can they secure and hold on to their fourth position? If you're in the top four, you get 2 bites at the cherry in the final series, Little P. And what we mean by that is that you can lose a match and still be in finals contention. So we've got the Broncos without Shibasaki, but Melbourne Storm and Craig Bellamy, he has named a near full-strength side. So that was a little bit surprising, but perhaps he just wants to see his side return to form after an embarrassing performance there against the Roosters last week. And Dally M winner from 2024, Jahrome Hughes, is back. So really interesting what the Storm do here in the eventual and final team that runs out. They can go no higher and no lower, very Little P, so they don't have too much incentive other than just returning to their winning ways. How do you see this match playing out?
Well, I think considering that Shibasaki's gone and there's no Mariner, no Adam Reynolds, and Reece Walsh isn't in his best form, plus Storm, you said they've got one of the strongest sides, so yeah, I think Storm for this one, but hopefully not by a big margin, but I think it will be.
Yeah, so Brisbane Broncos and the Storm, this is their biggest bogey side, I think. Storm have beaten Brisbane Broncos on the 16 consecutive last games that they've played each other. Yeah, really interesting what's going to unfold here on Thursday night, Little P. Not too much to play for, as I said, for Melbourne Storm, other than putting some pride back in that purple jersey. So, after Thursday night's contest, and just bear in mind, and being a passionate Broncos fan, Little P, just remember, if Broncos lose, what does that mean for their finals contention? So then on Friday night, we have another team playing for a top 4 spot. This is the Manly Seagulls. They're playing at home. And it's Daly Cherry Evans' final match wearing Manly Seagulls colours. So we won't see him. in that side in 2026. And it's the Manly Sea Eagles taking on the Warriors. Now, if the Warriors win this and the Broncos lose the night before, they put themselves in a very strong position for a top 4 finish. What do you think?
Well, Professor, I think for Cherry Evans' sake and maybe an upset here, I think the Sea Eagles will get over the top of them. But I do have a question. What would happen if the Dolphins lost, the Sea Eagles won, and the Roosters lost? Would that mean they go into the top 8 spot?
Can you say that again?
So what would happen if the Manly
Yeah.
Sea Eagles won their match, the
Yes.
Dolphins lost theirs, and then in 8th spot the Roosters also lost their match? Would that mean that the Sea Eagles go into the top 8?
The Manly Sea Eagles are going to need to win by a significant margin. I think their points differential, they're a fair way back. So while we're chatting about the next match, let me give you the actual numbers of what that would look like. But for this one, Lil P, I'm just going to back the side that have got more to play for. So if Brisbane do lose that match, and they expect they will, you've got the Warriors who have everything to play for. It is a tough away match for them, particularly with the occasion of Daly Cherry Evans in his last match. But I'm just going to back their motivation to put in a good performance there. And they were robbed of victory when they played Parramatta Eels last week in a very controversial decision there by the referee. But as I pull up the NRL table, Lil P, we've got the Manly Sea Eagles. Now they're in 10th position. Yeah, I mean, they would need to win by, Roosters would need to get flogged. The Dolphins would need to get flogged against an inferior Raiders side, and Manly have an 80-point differential at the moment. So they would need to win by a significant margin, and then the other teams need to take a big beating for them to get into the 8. But it's possible, Little P. There is a possibility there. So on the next match, wow, also a fascinating one in finals permutations. This is the Roosters. Now, they're in 8th spot now. They put in a fantastic performance there against Melbourne last round. They're at home, and they're taking on the Rabbitohs. The Rabbitohs do have some stars returning, but the Roosters head in as strong favourites for this contest.
Yeah, well, considering the Roosters' last games, I think that they'll do pretty well against the Storm. They smashed them 40-10, and then they've just been great this season. So I think the Roosters got a bit more to play for than the Rabbitohs. So yeah, they'll get over the top of them.
Yeah, I think so too, Little P. This is a famous rivalry, and an ambush awaits the Roosters. Now, they won't be surprised by that, but the Rabbitohs would love to spoil the party. Now, just note, if the Roosters lose, it brings the Dolphins back into contention, and they can potentially snatch that 8th spot and head into their first ever finals. So then we head into Saturday, Little P. So this is the Dragons. They've been a little bit disappointing recently, and they're taking the Panthers, and the Panthers have also rested a number of players. This match is being played in Wollongong.
Well, Professor, I think resting players for the Panthers, I don't think it's the wisest decision. They lost last week, Panthers to Bulldogs 4-28, so they got pretty smashed over there. And yeah, I think resting the players, if I were Penrith, I wouldn't do it because you need Nathan Cleary to win a match from my perspective.
Yeah.
So yeah, considering the Dragons lately, maybe the Panthers will win, but I think it'll be a pretty close game.
Okay, yeah, I would expect the Panthers to win this one, and yeah, I think we will start to see some return to some of those players. Maybe not a full 80 minutes in what Ivan Cleary decides to do there. Then we have the Titans. The Titans, they're in 17th spot. Are they destined for the wooden spoon? They're playing at home, and they're taking on the Tigers.
Well, I think your Tigers, Professor, they've actually not been too bad lately. They've lost some pretty close games. The Raiders, they were performing quite well. Nevertheless, the score. Then the Cowboys match, that was pretty close. If they scored one more try, they would have won. So I think maybe the Tigers for this one, they've really not been too bad recently, and the Titans, they've been not so bad either. So I think it'll be a close match.
Yeah, I think so too. Just a slight favour and push for Tigers there. We can expect a points to be flowing, particularly for the Titans, who are not renowned for their defence. So then Saturday night, this is also a crucial contest in the context of top 4 positions. So if the Broncos lose and the Warriors lose, the Sharks will head into this match trying to get their top 4 spot. Now, Coach Cameron Ciraldo from the Bulldogs, he has named a full-strength side. Will that full side that's been named yesterday run out and play on Saturday night? We shall see. This match has been played at Accor Stadium, so it's a Bulldogs home match. What do you think, Lil P?
Well, Professor, I think the Sharks are a bit of an inconsistent team. Sometimes they really deliver, sometimes they just flop. So, yeah, considering the Bulldogs, you said that their coach named a full-strength side. I really don't know for this one, considering that they're really inconsistent, the Sharks. It's quite hard to tell, so I think maybe the Bulldogs to win this one.
Without too much science behind it, Lil P, I'm going to go the other way and pick the Sharks for this one. So then we head into Sunday. Now, if the Roosters lose, which is a little bit unlikely, but it's possible, if the Roosters lose on Friday night against the Rabbitohs, the Finns will be licking their lips at this contest because Coach Ricky Stewart of the Raiders has rested almost his entire side. So the Dolphins head into this contest with a much stronger lineup. This is Sunday afternoon. It's being played in Redcliffe. What do you think, Lil P?
Well, considering that they rested lots of players from the Raiders side, the Dolphins might have a strong chance here, and they've got a lot to play for because if Storm, you said, can't move on the ladder, then the Raiders are just going to finish in first. They're the minor premiers. So considering the Dolphins still having a slither of hope to get into the top 8 spot, I think they'll get over the top of the Raiders.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think they're probably and possibly going to miss out there, and they'll be destined for a 9th position, and they'll just miss on the finals. That's a shame. I love watching them play. We shall see what unfolds there on Sunday afternoon. And then the final match of the regular home and away season in round 27, it's the Parramatta Eels, a fast improving side, and they're taking on the Knights. Now, the Knights could also be playing to avoid the wooden spoon, especially if the Titans win and they beat the Tigers. This match has been played at the CommBank Stadium in Parramatta.
Well, I think considering with Mitchell Moses and Zach Lomax, they've got a pretty strong side, the Eels. They've lost and won some pretty close games this season. So, yeah, considering the Knights have really not been very good, so the Eels for this one for me. And I am glad that it's an early game. It's only at 4:05 p.m. in the afternoon. So, in an evening match, we'll find out the draw for the finals earlier in the night. So that's something to look forward to for me on Sunday.
That's right. We'll see how it all shakes out in the first week of the finals next week. So, Little P, an exciting few matches there, and we're glued to the TV over the weekend. Now, before we close out this week's episode, who was this week's Who Am I?
Well, Professor, it was a quick fire, so you don't wait to the end. It's a pretty easy one. Of course, Wally Lewis, the wonderful statue outside Suncorp Stadium, stands tall and proud. Well done, Wally Lewis, and a great career he has had.
Indeed. All right, Little P. Well, good luck to your Broncos on Thursday night, and we'll speak this time next week.
Thanks, Professor.
Thank you.